Goblin King says, hey, please teach me how to improve on my ZvT. Okay. I shall. And I will fix the channel points now. Alright, let's see. Quoo's got a replay and he would like some help with his ZvT. Let's check Mr. Quoo. Very fair warning, my ZvT is super cringe. Okay. Remember, what is the create custom goblin reward? I'll show you. Real quick. I'll pause it. Pausing. And then we're gonna go back to the goblin cave. You see how in this cave there are many goblins. There are a number of goblins in this cave, notwithstanding myself. But if you are devoted enough to my channel to generate 200,000 shinies, then you can design and we will create a goblin and put it in the cave. So if you're devoted enough to my cave, then you can design and we will create a goblin and put him in the cave. There you go. That is what create a custom goblin is. Okay, so Quoo has asked for our assistance in ZvT. So let's see what Quoo likes to do. Sounds like we need a cloud goblin who would just float. Yeah. 200k and it can be yours, my friend. Currently, anyways. Let's see what the build order Quoo goes is. So far, so good. Ah, big mistake, Quoo. The gas should be taken the closest to your larva. So your larva are closer to this one. That's a critical error, dude. Gas should be taken here. Put the spawning pool down. I personally prefer the spawning pool towards the ramp, because if drops happen here, your spawning pool is in more of a direct line of fire, where if it's over here, they have to move much further to get it. Super minor, but you're not wrong. That's a good tip already. You should do that in every single matchup. You should just make the gas right next to wherever your larvae are, so they don't have to go so far. Personally, I don't think you need to pull one off of minerals here. I think you could just rally the next 3 in there, unless you're trying to do an aggressive wing or something like that. We'll see. So we go for the early hatch, which is fine. This is fine. Okay. It's not bad. We get the lings, we get the queens. Very interesting maneuver to pull off of gas like that. I guess that's fine. Yeah, I don't see a big issue with it, actually. You can get boosts. Yeah, this is actually... I think this is fine here. Okay. You got the Reaper, which is huge. And we scouted the expand. Now, did we see up the ramp? So this is something I've tried to start doing a little bit, which is to move my Overlord here towards the ramp, so that you get vision of the barracks and whatever it's making, or if it's making anything at all, and then you can move back. Even if there's one marine out, if there's a marine out, you can just immediately go to the pillar and it's fine. But even if one marine spawns, it will not be able to kill your Overlord before it gets there. But the reason why I say that is because let's see the time that the Overlord gets here. Yeah, it's coming up. Like, so let's say you were over here by now, right? And what is he doing? We would be able to see that he went Reaper first. And he's actually going for a Marine second. Plus, he hasn't put his factory down quite yet. So either he's going to have later Hellions, or he's just not going to make Hellions this game. So typically, they would go Reaper into Reactor to go for, if they wanted to go Hellions. And they would already have a factory started. But this guy, it looks like, yeah, he wants to make a Marine first for whatever reason. But let's just say, basically, if you see the reactor and the factory being made behind it, it basically 100% means they're going to go for Hellions. So you can kind of use that to your advantage. It's more scouting information. Zerg is pretty... The Marine doesn't necessarily indicate anything. The Marine doesn't indicate necessarily. It doesn't mean he has to do X, Y, or Z. It just mean if you see the reactor and the factory, that does mean okay, Hellions. If you don't, it doesn't rule out Hellions. But if you do, you can be confident that he is gonna go Hellions. You've seen Mario go Reaper, Rhine, Reactor a lot. I mean, I'm sure there's a good reason to do it. I'm just saying you can get more information than just, oh, he has a command center here. Not a huge deal. Just, you know, again, it's more information for you. So 330, I typically like to put down my tech if I'm just playing standard. So this is the downfall to your build, Quoo. Just to let you know where it is, because maybe you don't know exactly. But by 3 minutes and 30 seconds, if you just left on gas, you would be able to have ling speed done. Tech meaning Banes or Roaches. I typically do 330 if I'm doing Roaches. If you're doing Banes, you can probably hold it off for a while longer if they're doing 2-1-1. You can probably hold off Banes till maybe 4.5 to 5.5 minutes. Would be my guess. But you do definitely want to know what he's doing. So we want to get a scout. I would say regardless of if you do decide to go for tech, a 330 tech choice is not horrible. Obviously, you have the money to do it. You are on top of your larva right now. Well, okay. Let's say you didn't have the 6 larva. You could still make a Bane Nest. You try to sack an Ovi at 4 minutes. I usually go for 330. Because at 330, look at, like, I guess 4 minutes is fine. But it's not going to be right at 4 minutes, is it? It's actually going to be something more like 4:15, 4:20. So if you start going in, let's say with this Overlord at around 3:30, 3:45, 3:50, right about now, maybe not exactly 20 seconds, but you know what I mean. You can go in, you can see exactly what's going on. You'd see a 1-1-1, you'd see the Hellions, you would see the Tech Lab, maybe you see the Switch, maybe you don't. You'd see the Tech Lab earlier, which can definitely start formulating what kind of game plan you want to do, right? Okay, we see the Hellions move out. We're still making queens, which is good. And we are moving our queens in a correct way. So this is also a big deal. You should move your overlords. Yeah, your overlord positioning is not good. Especially versus Hellions. So in the beginning of the game versus Terran, I actually do this in almost every matchup except for ZvT. My first overlord goes the same place yours does. After it scouts the ramp, it goes to the pillar. Second overlord usually goes to my third to scout for proxy racks, and then goes to the behind their main so I can do a scout like you're doing right now. Then the third, fourth, and fifth overlords. The third overlord I put here. The fourth overlord I would put like here, and then the fifth overlord I would put like here somewhere. I'd probably go like here and then here. The reason why is you want to have each entrance to one of your bases scouted. Right now we're just using creep to scout, which if this guy was more aggressive, he'd be scanning and killing your creep immediately. The reason why is because you don't want to be defending Hellions with your lings last minute. You want your queens to already be in position to block the Hellions. Do you move them away before Marines can move out? Yeah, you can. Honestly though, if you lose an overlord, it's not the biggest deal. Even if you lose one and then you go, oh, I need to move them back, then you just move the other ones back. It's not like if you lose the game because you lost one overlord, you have some other problems. You know what I mean? Certainly it can hit at a bad time, but yeah. You can move them back for sure. Once your creep gets to where they're scouting, you should move them back. That's the correct thing to do. But the reason for that is we should hopefully have 3 floating queens by now. We only have okay, we're about to have 3. We should prioritize the queens a little bit earlier. Usually what I do is I just go non-stop queens on my natural. And then I don't go any more queens in my main. Since the first Hellions heck you up pretty often. Yes. So that would be why. It's because you're defending them with lings. And the proper way to defend against Hellions is, I like to call it like the catcher's mitt. Okay, it's the catcher's mitt. Okay, think of the Hellions as a baseball. Okay, but it's a dangerous baseball that will kill you if it hits you. And you don't want it to do that. Is that a birthday hat? Yes. What you do is you have your queens in the front to attack them as they move in. Now, unless you have enough queens to like block a choke, Hellions can always move past queens. But typically, if the Terran is doing things correctly, unless they know for a fact they won't get punished, they're not going to move past your queens. They're going to take damage maybe, and then they'll move them back immediately. What you do behind that is you have like let's pretend you have your 3 queens here, and you're shooing away the Hellions, and he says, heck it, I'm going to go in. You want your lings to move with your queens, but stay behind them. Stay behind them. Like right here would be a perfect spot for this exact Hellion positioning, right? And then what you do is if they try to go past your queens, you just A-move them with your lings, and now you've caught them, right? You kind of get an easy surround. And they're not on A-move because they need to move command past your queens. They're not going to be A-moving. They can't kite forward, right? They can only kite backwards. So you're preventing them. You only engage with lings as a last-minute resort. You want to keep them alive. You do not want to engage with lings. You don't want to chase them off of creep either.
Subscribing to the Goblin King channel.
Unless you just have so much more.
Big spender.
And you know that you can kill all the
Apparently
Hellions.
my sub laps too.
Hey, no problem, man. Thank you for the prime. But yeah, unless you know for sure you can get the Hellions, and there's like drastically less than there are lings, I wouldn't chase them off creep. Blocking with queens is good, and keeping the lings back is good. Like, it's more than good. I would argue it's literally required. If you're gonna play ling queen versus Hellions, you have to do it. You usually have only 8 lings and like 5 to 6 queens by now. The smart money is about 2 lings per Hellion. Or a little more. The numbers grow higher if, let's say they have 10 Hellions. You're going to need something like, you need something like 20 lings for that. You're going to need a lot. But just, you can kind of gauge roughly, right? So it seems like you're pretty on point then with 8 lings and a handful of queens. Yeah, the queens, it doesn't, the number doesn't matter. It's just whatever you like to make. Usually you want to have the 3 or 4 moving around, right? By the way, it is not my birthday. To whoever said it was my birthday, it's not my birthday. It's just we met our daily sub goal. Even though it says 9 out of 10, 2 subs aren't counted in there, so I put the birthday hat on. I just want to let you guys know it's not my birthday. But yeah, so that is one big adjustment you can make. If you frequently get hacked, yeah, like this is super dangerous. If this guy had like half a mind here, he could just go right into your natural.
Thank you guys for subscribing to the Goblin King's channel. Way to go, big
You definitely
spender.
subbed post hat, yeah, you did. But you see how this is working? Yeah, exactly. This is exactly what happened. This is verbatim the bad situation. Okay, Shiva Blaster, thank you for gifting a sub. Drunken Furies, congratulations. Thank you so much for that, Shiva. Thank you. Yeah, this is the exact situation, man. So we're in a bad spot. In this scenario, these lings are in the correct spot here, but we're already in a bad spot. This happens to you in so many ZvTs. That's because you're not doing the queen buffer with the Zergling Ketchermit with the Overlord pre-scouts. Do those things, I promise you will lose against fucking 0 Hellions from then on. But you have to be vigilant. You have to be aware. When you see the Hellions, you need to have your queens in position before the Hellions are there. You need to see that they're on the way when they're here, and have your queens already there, ready to go. This is why your ZvT is Gosu. Thank you. Yeah. So these are the exact situations that Zergs find themselves in when they don't have good queen ling movement and good overlord placement. Okay? Easy fix. Easy fix, man. Promise. See, in there, right there, I just want to really drive it home. Imagine you had 10 lings right here. Imagine you just have 10 lings here, right? Let's just pretend they're not over here, right? Let's just imagine 10 lings, boom, right there, ready to go. And they just drive past, boom, instantly, the lings are on top of them. Your lings need to just be between the Hellions and your drones, wherever your closest drones are. So yeah, there you go. Easy fix, though. You probably aren't actually even going to lose that much here. You're going to actually really... You're going to lose a lot of lings. But you're not going to really lose any drones, so... In that sense, you took the worst... You took a bad situation and you came out okay, but losing all the lings kind of sucks. What if he's in between the Nat and the third? Don't ever let him get there. That's your... If he's here, you're in a bad spot. You've already fucked up. Because the second he's over here, your queens should be in front. You need to be here. In that situation, you just gotta go. You gotta attack. Like, yeah, you're already fucked. Yeah. Completely new mindset for you. It will help you out tremendously. Pretty good Banshee defense. You got the spores on the way. I love Do we have a layer on the way yet? Okay, so let's look at our other timings here. Let's look at our other timings here. In this situation, you're not really going to be punished for a late 1-1. But in my opinion, a 7-minute 1-1 is late. It is. And you're going to go Baneness. So we've delayed our tech significantly. And he has not expanded to a third yet. So if this Terran was better, you would be dead right now. Because he's like 2 base all in without knowing it. But that's just my opinion. We're being a bit greedy. I would say by 4 minutes 30 to 5:30, 4:30 you can start your lair, in my opinion. 4:30 to 5, you can start lair Baneness at the same time. That's actually not a terrible way to look at it. You get a lair, you start your Baneness. Just put them both down. 5:15 is a very good time to make your evolution chambers. About 5:15. The 3 minute to 5 minutes are very. There's a lot you want to do in that in those that like span of a minute and a half. Usually you go 1-1 before a layer. Is that bad? It's not necessarily bad. It just depends what you want to do. Right? Think of gas for Zerg as where you're focusing the game, where you're trying to focus the energy of the game. If you go for a quicker layer, you're saying I want to get to layer tech quicker so that I can utilize extremely strong upgrades and units such as Bane speed, right? Such as potentially 2-2 once I get there. Maybe even Spire, maybe even Hydros, right? Layer tech for Zerg is very, very good. But it's nothing we have to necessarily rush to. I would say anywhere between 4 to 5 minutes for a layer is fine. Upgrades before like 5:15 I feel are inappropriate personally. Because unless we're hitting a specific timing, right? Unless this doesn't take into consideration timing attacks. Unless we're hitting a specific timing, the money that we put in to 1-1 and double evos that early on, we won't see the benefits of for a long time, and more than likely we will not be able to take much advantage using those benefits. Baneness just kind of keeps us safe, right? And then once we get layer and we get Bane speed, that's when we can start being a bit more aggressive. Once we have our upgrades online and we're starting to tech up, that's when we can start being a little more aggressive. So what this looks like to me, Quoo, is you do not have a solid game plan for what you would like to do versus Terran. So I would recommend, and this is just a personal recommendation, you can play the game however you want. I would recommend you don't have to have a like hardened build order ready to go necessarily, but think about like the 3 to 4 scenarios that you will find yourself most likely in versus Terran. Yeah, and maybe look at some build orders and think about the reasons why do they recommend putting this down, you know, now or then, right? Why make a Bane Nest at 3:30 instead of 4 minutes? Or instead of 4:30? Well, sometimes they do a 2 base all in with Hellbats, right? And having Banes against that is kind of required unless you have Roaches. So it's like a way to stay safe while still playing Ling Bane. Like 3 to 4 situations like Hellion Banshee, Hellion BC 2-on-1 or Mech. Yeah, those are fine. Obviously the 2 most common are going to be 2-on-1 and Mech. Actually, that's not even true anymore. Like Hellion into Bio, I would say 2-on-1 and then just straight to Mech, right? There's a whole lot of subsets that you can plan for if you want to, but if you think of those 3 specific scenarios and you just have set plans, even if they look very similar, they can honestly look exactly the same. You just need to think about, okay, what are the things I need to take into consideration? If they make Hellions, am I safe? Okay, well, I will have Lings, and I can go ahead and defend with my Queens against them. Nice hat, my guy. Thank you, Stroyer. It's not my birthday, just so you know. But yeah, think about those situations. I have extremely niche build orders that I like to do versus every one of those situations. But I crafted and hammered out those build orders by thinking about ZvT so much, playing against ZvT, playing the different types of styles that they can go, and having a built-in reaction when, oh, they're going this plus battle cruisers. Okay, I will do this. I already know what I want to do. Oh, they're going siege tank focus. They're going siege tank Hellion mech. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I already know what I want to do. Oh, they're going straight to bio. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I know what I want to do. You can be as flexible or inflexible versus Terran as you want to be. Is basically a good way to put it. I would say Banshee, you probably don't need to do much of a different type of build order for. You just need to put spores down and get an Overseer. Okay, let's keep watching the game. I don't want to overload you with info. So far, it's not a bad game, honestly. You're doing fine. You feel like your opening build should do well versus Banshees. I would say, honestly, your opening build, it doesn't do well or badly against Banshees. It does probably about the same. The early third doesn't affect anything. Okay, this is going to do a crazy amount of damage, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. This is a very good example of the situation we're talking about. This is, I mean, a little late, honestly. But off of the Banshees, it makes sense. No Bane speed. Exactly. We cannot defend this without Bane speed. There's actually no way, right? There's no shot. Unless we just have so many more Lings than he has everything else. Now, what you did here, I think, is correct. You sacrifice the fourth, you pull your drones. I would immediately put a fourth down as well. That's another thing I would try to do. Is just straight fourth. Like, put another one down. Double expand even. Fuck it. Put one here. Who cares? Spend your money for one. Let's see how you try to get out of this one. So he's already starting 2-2. So we're at an upgrade disadvantage, which is a bit of a bummer. Because we want to be equal to, like, or ahead even. Eek. Yeah, this is rough. Yeah, we're just kind of getting punched. We're just getting punched. I hold true that Terran is the best race to punish Zerg that don't, that are not mechanically as solid. Like, if you don't, like, what's the best way to describe it? If you don't have your timings fleshed out, right? If your Bane speed is 30 seconds late, you can just lose. You know what I mean? And what looked like actually a game that wasn't going too badly is now off the rails, and we're pretty much dead. We're just in a, we're kind of fucked, unfortunately. I mean, we're making a game of it. We're trying. But we're just in a really rough spot. Your early game looks well, which is good. It's just the timings of everything else. Was just way too late this game. We needed a Bane Nest earlier. He's already getting +3. Shit, we're getting Carapace too. Holy fuck. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Good job, man. We're getting Infestors. We're going for a Spire. If you're behind, I guess Spire could work. But goddamn. Yeah, we dead as fuck, though. We so dead here. Oh, good fungals, though. Wow, are we not dead? Wow, did we win? That'd be crazy. No shot, though, right? Getting Adrenal. Zerg after my own heart. Your goal is to get an Infestor Broodlord. Okay, I will say this. You can do whatever you want. But, that sounds like the hardest way to try to win versus Terran. Why do you know believe? Because we should have died there. He lifted every one of his Widow Mines at the same time, which was a big mistake. But we're in the situation where Terran has to make multiple mistakes in order for us to win. Because we've been off of a fourth base for a while. He is on a fourth, so we're in a bad spot. Broodlords are quite good versus Biomine, though. So I don't disagree with that necessarily. I would say if we are behind, focusing harder on layer tech as opposed to going for Hive is probably going to be the path to victory here. You feel like Broodlord Infestor is a good I'm behind and need to be ultra efficient comp. It is, but it is very difficult to not just die in the middle. Layered Tech meaning Mutiling Bane. Mutiling Bane, you can go Hydras, you can go Roach Ravager, you can go Lurkers. All of those things. People have propaganda that you cannot make Lurkers until you have Hive, which is just actually not true. That's just actually false. See, exactly. Are Layer Tech Lurkers any good? They are fucking horrible at attacking. But they're kind of okay at defending. They're not bad at defending. Will they save you versus a fully maxed out Terran army with like 5 or 6 siege tanks? No. No, they won't. But these little like random side attacks, they'll do fantastically versus that. They'll do amazingly. Yeah. They will save you against that. They're very good defensive units, regardless if you have the upgrades or not. Now, I wouldn't push out with them until you have Hive Tech. But this is what I mean by trying to get to like Broodlord Infestor. It just takes so long. It's not even that you don't have the money necessarily, which you really don't have the money if you think about it. But it just takes so long. Because you go Hive, you can put a Spire at the same time, but then you need to make a greater Spire off of that, which you can't even make until Hive is done. And then you have to make, well, you can make Corruptors during that, and then you have to morph rather, Broodlords. And Corruptors, up until that point, are pretty shit, unless you're using them with a very huge amount of Ling Bane to pressure their medevacs. So Broodlord or Ultra is natural. I'm gonna be honest with you, I seldomly try to beat Terran on Hive. You think Infestors are bad? I think Infestors are some of the best units in the game. No, I don't think they're bad. I just think they're incredibly hard to use. I think they're very hard to use with a Ling for Zerg. Like, I think they're the hardest spellcaster to use. Lair is like the kill. I personally, I think I try to end every Terran game on Lair. Like, I'll be real. Do you not try to rush 3-3? No. 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 I don't. You can. But we need, okay, so let's go over, let's do a thought exercise real quick. You always feel like if you get behind in upgrades, you're bot, so you try to keep up. Well, you were behind in upgrades this game. And you did not keep up. Regardless if you rushed or not. You were just kind of dead. I'll be honest with you. This game, after 9 minutes, was probably not very worthwhile to watch for you. I wouldn't take notes after that point. Because already so many things have gone wrong that you're in a position to fail. You've not set yourself up to be successful. So it's just, I wouldn't even look past 9 minutes. There's so many things you can already do. Like, our 4th is dead. He's still pressuring our main. We are like half of an upgrade behind. And we don't have Bane speed. We're dead. we have died. The game's over. What I like to say is, in this situation, it is up to Terran to lose. They now have to, they are actively winning the game. They have to actively now throw the game in order for you to win. Or you have to, yeah. Basically, they have to throw. That's the only way. If they're going to play competently. And they follow up with what they're doing with the natural progression of getting more upgrades, more bases, etc., etc. If they just do the basic shit. I would really try to nail down some timings. And you can adjust them later, okay? I would say, and you can clip this so that you can have it later, so I'm not going to write it down, but you can clip this so that you can listen to it later if you need to. It is, I would say, 3:30 Bane Nest or Roach Warren. Those are totally fine. Between 3:30 and 4 minutes. Somewhere in there. Just throw it down. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to kill you. You probably have the money to do it anyways, because we're not gods and we float money. It happens, okay? Queen defense with the Ling Catcher Mitt. Okay, if they're making Hellions. If they're not making Hellions, don't worry so much about it. Overlord spread, right? The 3rd Overlord here, the 4th Overlord like here, the 5th Overlord over here. So we have all of the entrances to our bases scouted, and you leave those Overlords there until your creep catches up. Then you can move them back. Go for between 4 minute and 5 minute layer. Okay, somewhere between 4 and 5 minutes, make a lair. You can couple your Bane Nest with lair if you want to, but I would just really make sure you don't make your lair after 5 minutes. And then 5:15 Evo Chambers. I usually, if you want to do the 1 gas type builds, where you explode out drones onto your minerals and then you take 5 gas, that's fine. You can also naturally progress your gas. As you get saturated here, and you get oversaturated, and take gases. You're about to ask, when do you take your gases? It just depends on what I'm feeling the game. I don't have set times, to be honest with you. There's two theories, okay? There's 2 modes of thought with it. You can follow either one you want. You just have to adapt slightly for it. If you go for the standard overfill a mineral line and then take your gases and then drone those up and then drone your next base, then you are focusing more on your tech. So you'll want to get a faster lair. You'll want to get maybe a little bit faster Evo chambers. You'll be able to get faster Bane speed. Those sorts of things. That is a game where you're saying, hey, I'm gonna go into Mutas. Hey, I'm gonna go into Hydras. I'm gonna go into Lurkers in the mid game. Okay? Or you can go for the rush minerals as hard as you can, right? Where you go for 3 base saturation on minerals, you start making a 4th, and then you put down 5 gases. That's also fine. But what that means is that you are putting a lot of ownership on defending with Lings and Queens, and you need to be very confident with your Ling Queen defense versus early attacks, versus stuff like Hellbats, versus stuff like 3 racks, stuff like that. That's a completely legitimate and honestly might even be a better way to play. The extractors as you're overfilling is a very basic style of Zerg. There's nothing wrong with it, but it is not the most efficient, right? Everything you want to make in the early game costs minerals, so typically focusing on that first and then going for gases is a very good way to play. But if you get into a situation where you're being attacked and you don't ever put gas down, that means your Bane Nest is going to be late. That means that your lair is going to be late. That means your upgrades are going to be late, and you're not giving yourself a good position to go into the mid game. So just think of what is my ideal composition that I will play versus Terran. Bio-Terran. Don't make it more complicated than that right now, okay? Don't go, this is what I'll play versus Bio-Terran with Banshee, blah, blah, blah. Just go, I'm going to play versus Bio-Terran. What do I want to have? What is my ideal composition? Okay, early game I'll have Lings. Mid game I'll do Ling Bane with Bane speed. And then I'm going to go into Hydras, and I'm going to go into Hydra Lurker, and that's how I'm going to win the game. Or something, right? Obviously, you can adapt and move on the fly if you need to, but I would start thinking like that. There is a very natural... Zerg can play a very natural styled progression. The one thing I did want to comment on is it's like we kind of skipped around our tech a bit, where we just put down such a late Spire. How bad is Lingbane into Infestor into Ultra? It's not, but that's not the composition. It's actually Lingbane Queen. Lingbane Queen is how you defend, because if they go Liberators, you're dead. If they go any area unit, you're dead. You need to have Queens. Lingbane can kill literally everything on the ground. But you have to have Queens. You need to, and when I say Queens, you need to have way more Queens than you even made this game. You should probably have like 10 floating Queens. Queen at each base, plus 10 Queens walking around the map. Because they are your ranged portion of your army. And I need you to know that Lingbane into Ultra, right? Lingbane Queen into Ultra is a defensive style. Okay? That is not an aggressive attacking style. You can peel off like 6 Lings and try to go for a Bane run by, but it is a defensive style. You should not be really attacking. You should be defending. That is a very, very defensive style. I mean, again, I'm only saying you should have that many Queens if you're not going to make any layer tech. Infestors, sure, I would put in maybe 1 or 2. I wouldn't go up to 5. I think you went up to 5 some point this game. I would go 1 to 2. At maximum, I would go 3. I wouldn't go more than 3. Because any more after 3, it's just kind of... It's just like they're not getting anything done. Usually you go for 4. I think after 2, you're probably good. It's like having 5 Vipers. There's only very specific scenarios I would ever want to have that many. And infestors are expensive, so think about that too. But you can absolutely go Lingbane Queen into Ultra. That is an extremely good strategy. It can win versus damn near everything. I don't know how that will do versus, for instance, Mech, but hey, you can give it a go. I don't know that style very well. I don't play it. I play roaches, as you know, but do what you want. Experiment around with it. See what you like. But yeah, you had the ideas this game, honestly, but it just kind of missed in some execution. You missed some timings, and really, ZvT, in my opinion, is all about timings. It's all about windows of opportunity and progressing your tech slash your advantage, whatever your advantage is, over your opponent. There you go. That's ZvT. Simple, yeah? Easy.